so there's an amazing line of authors we have for the 2 days, today and tomorrow. And of course, we have sessions on poetry. Then we also have a musical session. So it's a very, very interesting 2 days affair. And some of the bestsellers, if I remember, are like people like Ms. Sudha Murthy, who is also the chairperson of the Infosys Foundation and a member of Parliament. And she has been writing a lot, especially for the younger audience and the kids. So she'll be here tomorrow. Then we have a book by Dr. R. Balasubramaniam, whose book on Prime Minister Modi was released by Prime Minister himself. So he's also traveling for the festival. We have the former diplomat Vikas Swarup, whose book Slumdog Millionaire was made into a very successful film. So his new book has come out. So he's also lined up for tomorrow. Today we have sessions by Vikram, and of course we have Abhay session is there, and then we have Dr. Jaiswal, who is a former bureaucrat turned author, and of course we have a poetry session, Kavi Manch, later in the day. So welcome each one of you to the Monsoon edition of the Delhi Literature Festival. And before my author is here and the moderator is also here, I'll request the festival curator, Ms. Meenu Agrawal, to please come and introduce the author and the moderator. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Ajay-ji. Since we are running 15 minutes already late, so I will not take much time and I'll just get into the introduction. The session is about the book Ayurveda Advantage, an Ancient Science for Modern Living by Vikram Sharma. Now about Vikram Sharma. Vikram Sharma is the director and a third generation stakeholder at Shri Baidyanath Ayurveda Bhavan, a renowned Indian brand with a century-long legacy in Ayurveda remedies and supplements. He attended the Doon School in Dehradun and graduated from the London School of Economics and Political Science. With practical knowledge of Ayurveda and connections to some of India's top Veds, Vikram spent his formative years learning at Baidyanath's production units across India, where traditional methods and the purest ingredients were used to prepare medicines. And he's also passionate about advocate for environmental sustainability and animal rights. Now about the moderator, Ms. Namita Kohli. She's a journalist, editor, and Fulbright scholar. She has worked with leading media outlets such as the Hindustan Times, the Indian Express, and the Week magazine, and Melbourne-based The Conversation. She's passionate about health and gender issues and holds a master's degree from the University of Texas, Austin, USA, where she was a Fulbright Nehru Fellow. She has also conducted media trainings for senior officials from the Indian Council of Medical Research. Now about the book. So in this book, the author shares health secrets that have been passed down for generations. From reflecting on the pandemic to exploring ancient remedies, this book is your guide to a balanced and vibrant life. And now we learn about how Ayurveda's holistic approach can boost your well-being in today's world. So with that, I'll welcome Mr. Vikram and Namita Kohli on the stage. Now over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for coming for the opening session of the festival on a rainy afternoon. I think it's very interesting that the opening session of this festival really is on a book on health, and especially in the post-COVID scenario where all of us have been really serious about our health. There is a renewed interest in traditional healing systems such as Ayurveda. It's good to have Vikram and discuss this book on Ayurveda. The book is really comprehensive, but it's also written in a style which is accessible to everyone, so written very lucidly and touching upon the main issues that we need to know and as busy people incorporate in our lives. Vikram is, the best person to talk about this really, because he is a third generation stakeholder from the Baidyanath group, which has been a household name for generations. It's a 100-year-old company, and we've grown up with Baidyanath products in our house. So who better than Vikram to sort of tell us a little, um, give us nuggets about what to eat, how to eat, and how to really live fulfilling and healthy lives. But before I really start talking about the various aspects that he touches in the book, I'd like Vikram to speak a little about the story, the genesis behind this book, because that's a very interesting and a personal story. And so over to you, Vikram. Could you tell us how you came to this book?
Thank you very much. My son was born a couple of weeks before the COVID pandemic hit the world. So my mom and I had already decided that we would be staying in Gujarat for about 3 to 4 months. So we were all set. We'd rented this lovely farmhouse over there in Anand. And suddenly when the COVID pandemic hit and the entire country went into forced isolation, my mom started teaching me Ayurveda. Now, my mom has been an R&D head for Ayurveda for over 30 years now. She's been to Columbia several times to present a paper on Ayurvedic research. And as she started teaching me, I kept taking down notes and I kept recording what she was saying. And so in a way, it can say that the birth of this book coincided with the birth of my son. Now, I'd always felt that a lot of the books on Ayurveda that are available in the market, with all due respect to authors like Vasant Lad, the books are very tedious. They are very long. There's a lot of technical jargon, and you can't expect everyone to be interested in reading those books. I always thought that there was a need in the market for a book that simplifies Ayurveda. And the idea behind this book is that I've condensed the knowledge that my mom gave me, and I've made, the style of writing is very conversational, so that anybody from any walk of life, any age group, any echelon of society, any professional background is able to relate to the book.
Great, that's really interesting that the book has coincided with the birth of your son, and you've also said in the book that you really hope he will also carry forward the legacy of the Baidyanath group. Vikram, in the book, as I understand, you're really focused on the 3 pillars of life, which is food, sleep, and sex. And I'll circle back to each one of them. But to begin with, I'd like to ask you something about the sections that really stood out for me around aging, or rather anti-aging, youth and beauty. Now we are in an era where, really who doesn't want to look good? And there are all kinds of skin products. There's the whole glass skin trend from Korea and whatnot. There are so many superficial things to do. But Ayurveda really goes into the root of youth and beauty, and you could, of course, better explain it to us, how to look good.
Sure. So the way Ayurveda looks at anti-aging is very different from the way most of the world looks at it. It does not have to do with the creams that you are applying. Aging or not aging starts with your Agni, which is the digestive fire. So there's a saying in Ayurveda that you are as young or as old as your Agni. The better your digestive fire is, the longer you will live, the younger you will look, and there will always be a glow on your face. So to explain this, and I'll try and explain it quickly, in Hinduism and in Ayurveda, Agni is really revered. When somebody is getting married, Agni is considered to be the highest witness. When somebody passes away, the body is burned because it is Agni that is capable of facilitating the passage from one world to the other. Now this Agni, which is capable of keeping us warm in the winter, which is capable of cooking food for us, and all of those things also exists in our system in a very, very subtle way, which is called the digestive fire. Now the Agni inside the system is responsible for everything like your body temperature, your metabolism, the digestion process, assimilation of food, everything. it has to be handled very, very carefully. So just like the fire outside is capable of giving life, but also capable of burning you down to ashes, the Agni inside, if handled properly, is capable of keeping you youthful, and it is that Agni alone that decides, primarily, that decides how youthful you will look. Now, if it is not handled properly, that Agni is very capable of aging you. So Agni is a very important aspect here as far as anti-aging is concerned. So just remember that you have to keep your digestive fire burning right. And couple of quick tips for that. One is that drinking water, cold water or water at room temperature immediately after a meal is a sure shot way of dousing the digestive Agni in your system. So that is something which should not be done. All of the other things, steps that need to be taken to keep the Agni burning are listed in my book. So when it comes to anti-aging, the number one thing to remember is the Agni, the digestive fire in your system. The second thing is your breathing. How do you breathe? Is it aerobic breathing or anaerobic breathing? The slower you breathe, the longer you live, the younger you look. It's very simple. It's to do with longevity, it's to do with youth. A tortoise that breathes very slowly is capable of living up to 200 years, and so the same thing is applicable for human beings as well. Then, when it comes to anti-aging, Ayurveda has a list of rasayans. There are single herb preparations, and then there are herbs in themselves. Like for instance, amla is the most potent antioxidant source in the world. Even the American Health Journal now recognizes it as being one of the most potent, more than blueberries, more than all of the berries put together. Chavanprash, which is a multi-herb preparation, is a rasayan. Ashwagandha is one of the best rasayans for men. Shatavari is one of the best rasayans for women. So, and I've listed all of that in the book. So when it comes to anti-aging, the number third factor is rasayans. Then there are certain very interesting things that Ayurveda says. Like for instance, if you use your right hand to brush your teeth, start using your left hand for some time. When you walk forward, start walking backwards as well. When you skip forward, you skip backwards. All of this exercises a different part of your brain, which in turn leads to you looking and feeling better and younger. So this is a very important aspect as well. All of this is written in the book. And of course, how you feel. Since Ayurveda is a holistic science, and Buddha has also said, what you feel, what you think is what you become. So these are the four things when it comes to anti-aging in Ayurveda.
I was reading the chapter on beauty, and you've also mentioned the role of fat. Now, fat always gets a bad press, and the first thing you're told all across, all over, is to cut down on fat. But you've said that it's one of the things you need to have in a moderate amount. So, can you talk a little about
Yes,
that?
so if you look around you, you'll see that a person who's very skinny will age faster. I'm talking about the face and the way the person looks, in comparison with a person who has a little bit of fat. Good fat is very important. Like for instance, avocados, they have good fat. Olive oil has good fat. Good fat is very, very important for the body. There are no two ways about it.
Right. Let's circle back to these three pillars that you are focusing on in the book, that is food, sleep, and sex. And you spoke about the digestive fire. So let me pull you into the aspect of food. Now, there is so much information out there about how to eat, what to eat, when to eat, portion sizes, nutrition. So, can you simplify and unpack some of these things for us? So, what is the Ayurvedic concept of food, and how can we have better digestion, better absorption of nutrients, and therefore be healthy?
So when it comes to food, the process starts right from the time when you intend to go and procure food for yourself. How have you earned your money? If you've earned your money through unfair means, there is the tamasic energy going into your food. If you've earned it through the correct means, Then there is sattvic energy. It starts from there, it goes on to, are you haggling or are you not haggling? How is the food kept? How is it stored in your house? When the food is being cooked, it's very important, and in Ayurveda and in Hinduism they say that you should have bhajans or something spiritual playing in the background so that your food can absorb that energy. Now, what is interesting is that in Turkey, I'd gone to Turkey, I went to this place, for this restaurant that serves you traditional food, how it was cooked back in the day, and there was a lot of dancing and singing happening when the food was being cooked. So there would always be a couple of the dervishes who would start dancing, and they would play very soothing music for the food to absorb that. So it's interesting how there is so much similarity between cultures. Then who are you sitting and eating with? What kind of mood are you in? Is your food nutrient dense or not? Now, be very clear that if you are in a fight or you're arguing with somebody while having a meal, your food is constantly absorbing that energy, and that is what is going into your system, and digestion will not be perfect then. Um, most of, and I don't have to say it, needless to say, but most of the fast foods um, are completely to be avoided. So the food carries sattvic energy, tamasic energy, and rajasic energy. What is sattvic? Sattvic is sattva, the energy of purity. Of fresh vegetables, fresh fruit, they carry that. Rajasic energy is energy that makes you move. It's responsible for any kind of change, any kind of movement. Now, typically chilies contain that, spicy food has that. Your stimulants like tea and coffee have rajasic energy. Now, tamasic food, which is the worst kind of food, is non-vegetarian food. It takes over 72 hours to digest. It just rots in your system. And this has all been scientifically proven. In fact, Menka Auntie's book has written a lot about this. So if there's anybody who needs to know more about it, you can pick up her book. So when you eat a non-vegetarian meal, that food has not gone through the processes for 72 hours, and then you ingest more food, it plays havoc with your digestive fire and with your digestive juices. Um, Similarly, leftover food is tamasic food. So it is important for your food to carry as much of sattvic energy as possible, mixed with some amount of rajasic energy. Now, when we talk about food, we also talk about water. More than 70% of us is water. From the brain to every cell of the body to, you name it, and there is water. So it's very important for you to be hydrated, but correctly. Um, when you wake up in the morning, the first thing that you should have is a glass of water. Before a shower, you should have a glass of water. Before going to bed, you should have a glass of water. Half an hour before your meal, you should have a glass of water, and 1 hour or 1.5 hours after your meal, you should have a glass of water. It's very, very important. Now, water carries memory. This is something that has been said in Ayurveda forever, and now Sadhguru talks a lot about it. So, drinking water straight from the tap is never advised, because that water has gone through so many convoluted pipes and channels that it carries that confused energy and memory with it. Water should always be stored at one place. Now, when we go to, whether it's temples, they give us Chanamrit. In the church, they give us holy water. What is that water? That is just regular water that's been exposed to a lot of chanting, hymns, and positive affirmations. So the water has absorbed that energy, and they give you a little bit of that water. That is the power of what water is capable of, and depending on what it is exposed to. It is not something that can be taken for granted at all. So I think this takes care of food.
Yes, it does. But I had a follow-up question. You mentioned non-vegetarian food and the energies associated with it. But you also said in the book that it is prescribed for certain conditions. So can you elaborate on that?
So if you see, I've written that in a box, and I've said that it has to be prescribed, which means only a professional person in certain conditions, when a person is very deficient in something, Non-vegetarian food is prescribed in Ayurveda, but for a very short while and only by an expert.
I see. I see. In fact, that is one of the running themes in your book. A lot of people tend to follow Ayurvedic or natural practices, thinking कि इससे क्या नुकसान होगा? This is natural, but it's not. And throughout the prescriptions or the tips that you've given in the book, you've highlighted how these things have to be under expert supervision. If you see social media, for instance, these days, it's full of misgivings, it's full of these so-called experts. And Vikram, could you please talk about how that is not aligned with Ayurveda? Because I think that's very important for us to know that we can't just, we can't just ingest, or we can't just take things or self-medicate. So,
Yeah, yeah.
and you'd also earlier in the day giving me an example of fruit. So.
So before I answer this question, there's one more thing about food that is very important for me to talk about, and that is you should only eat when you're hungry. You need to follow your hunger pangs. Say it's lunchtime and you're not hungry. It means what you ate in the morning has not been digested, it has not been assimilated in your body. Your body does not want more food. Simple. Now at that time, what we do is out of habit, we'll just go and have a meal. That plays havoc with the digestive juices. And in the long run, whether it's acidity, acid reflux, or all kinds of complications are caused by that. So follow your hunger pangs. In Ayurveda, they say that a person who eats thrice a day is actually a rogi. So ideally, 3 meals are not needed in the body. 2 meals are enough. A person who eats 2 meals is a bhogi. So it's fine to be at that level, because 1 meal is a yogi, and that will be tough to, that will be a tough stage to get to. So 2 meals are enough if eaten properly and correctly. Now about social media, it's almost unfortunate that anybody can just put anything out there, and there are so many podcasts and reels that I've been watching, and I always comment below, when they are not saying the right thing. Like there was this girl who was talking about fruit, and she said that there's a saying in Ayurveda, eat it alone or leave it alone. Yes, that saying is there, but that is only for melons. Melon is the one fruit that should not be eaten with anything else. But she said in that video that it's applicable for every fruit. It cannot be. Papaya, for instance, has an enzyme called pepin, which helps with the digestive process. So papaya must always be eaten after a meal and never on an empty stomach. Papaya is used to melt mutton. So you can imagine what papaya is capable of. So if you have it on an empty stomach, what is it going to digest? It will just act adversely on your intestines and on your stomach lining.
I am guilty of having done that. So that's one very useful.
So you have to, just because somebody is saying something and sounds very impressive does not mean that that is the truth. You need to consult, and I've said that again and again in my book, that you need to consult an expert person to tell you whether you are in the right direction or not.
And food brings us to the natural follow-up of it, sleep. Now, insomnia is rising. You've quoted studies in the book that say that sleep problems are on the rise, especially post-COVID. I'm sure many of us have had sleep problems. People suffering from long COVID have had sleep problems. So I see that you've, and when you were mentioning right and left, I thought you've also spoken about the positions in which you should sleep and what energies they activate and so on. So tell us how to get a good night's sleep.
So this is actually my favorite topic, sleep. This and coffee, they are my two favorite topics. Thing about sleep is that you have to somehow get yourself to follow the circadian rhythm. There is the sleep that you get between 11 and 3 or 11 and 4 is equivalent to 3 hours of sleep at any other time of the day. So 1 hour of that is better than 3 hours of sleep at any other time of the day. The amount of repair work that happens in your body when you're sleeping between 11 and 4 is just phenomenal. Nothing can beat it. Our bodies are made in such a way that if we follow the circadian rhythm, which is when the sun sets, you start thinking about sleeping. And understand that when the sun is setting, the Agni, you know, in your fire is not going to be working very well. So you eat less, you eat early, and then you sleep, and then you wake up with the sun. So obviously, like it's not for most of us, it's not possible to wake up at 5 in the morning, which is fine. But try and sleep by 11 o'clock. By between 10 and 11, try to be fast asleep. And in the morning, you must get your 8 hours of sleep. There is no compromise on that. People think that okay, forget it, I'm sleep deprived right now, I'm traveling or I'm partying, and I'll catch up on this sleep later. No, there is no such thing. That damage is done. The only way you can catch up on one night's lost sleep is that you sleep a little bit in the afternoon, the following day sleep a little bit extra in the morning, but you cannot catch up on that sleep after 2 days. The damage is done. Being sleep deprived has a whole lot of, it comes with a whole lot of complications. A person is not able to focus, a person's attention will just not be there at one place, the person will be all over the place, and then what people do is, to feel better, they'll go and have a cup of coffee. um, you know, um, which is the worst thing you can do, because coffee immediately disturbs the vata and the pitta in your body if had on an empty stomach. So this entire cycle has to be looked into, and it has to be addressed very, very carefully, very carefully. Like my son is 4 years old, he needs his 11 to 12 hours of sleep, and I make sure that he gets it, whether he likes it or not. So just staying awake at night, looking at the phone, you know, it is the worst thing you can do to yourself, really. It is really the worst thing. And one of my very close friends is here, she's the, she's from the Jammu royal family, Dr. Karan Singh's younger daughter-in-law, and she's now pretty much the face of Jammu, and she's made Jammu what it is today. And my biggest disagreement with her is on her sleep patterns. And I keep telling her that you might have all the responsibility on your shoulders, but you have to put your phone away by 10:30. It does not matter. All those phone calls can wait. Those messages can wait till the following day. And so I would really insist on this. And of course, don't have stimulants at that time. All so many of these things are common sense. If you're having tea or coffee later in the evening, that caffeine will interfere with your sleeping pattern. You must never sleep on a full stomach. That again is a horrible thing to do. It's a horrible thing, because you see, just like you and your mind needs to sleep to recover and revive, your insides, your body inside also needs to recover and rest. And if that body is put through this arduous task of digestion and assimilation and all of that, then when is that body going to rest? And all that basically leads to aging. And it ages a person, and a person doesn't even come to know. Suddenly you are looking older, your movements are slower, you're falling sick more often, you can't retain things, you have brain fog. So, it is a holistic science. Everything has to be looked into. And food, sleep, and sex are the three pillars of life. They are the three pillars of Ayurveda, and they have to be treated with respect.
Listening to you, I'm realizing I'm doing all the things wrong. I've lived my life basically the wrong way. But coming to coffee, you also say in the book that if you put a little bit of cinnamon, that takes the edge off the caffeine. So even if one, is it okay to still have it in the later half of the day, or?
No, so the best time to have coffee is between breakfast and lunch, because your stomach must be lined before you have coffee. Please do not have coffee on an empty stomach. Just do not do it. First thing in the morning should never be coffee, because in any case, when you wake up in the morning, you need hydration, and coffee dehydrates you. Coffee interferes with the vata and the pitta elements of your body if had on an empty stomach. Even Sadhguru says that if you have coffee in the morning, you might feel like, okay, I'm feeling better, but that's only psychological. You'll remain edgy and restless throughout the day, and you will not be able to focus on one thing. All of this has been said in Ayurveda thousands of years ago. Now, I was in Patna recently, and I had a talk with the Prabha Khetan Foundation. And there was this lady, she owns 2 schools in Patna, she and her husband, and the couple said to me that, we wake up in the morning dreaming of our morning coffee. So, in that alpha state in the morning, they are thinking that, oh, just the coffee is coming, and then after that, throughout the entire day goes having one coffee after the other, and, they were not in very good health. They were really not in good health. And I took them to my bedji, and the first thing he did was he said, not more than 2 cups of coffee in a day and between breakfast and lunch. Why that's the best time is because the caffeine stays in your system for a very long time. So between lunch and dinner is not a good idea because it will interfere with your sleep. So the only window you have is between breakfast and lunch. And sorry, couple of other things because a lot of people over here, coffee is relevant to a lot of people over here. So Ayurveda says that you add a bit of cinnamon. Cinnamon is Tridosh Shamak and it's a superfood to your coffee. It takes the edge off coffee. You add a little bit of cardamom to it. It will take the edge off coffee. Now see, it's very interesting because a lot of things, what is bulletproof coffee, that is something that Ayurveda has always said, that you add a little bit of homemade ghee or butter to your coffee. It will really help you. And now they are saying in the Western world that you add a bit of coconut oil or you can add homemade butter. So this concept of bulletproof coffee was always there in Ayurveda.
I think it's a natural question now to come to the third pillar of life, that is sex. And in the book, you've spoken a lot about, you've written a lot about brahmacharya specifically, and the way we understand it. I mean, I was quite intrigued to understand that it's not what we understand in popular language, brahmacharya is equal to celibacy, and it's something that's, it's not a holistic thing. So tell us a little more about that, how Ayurveda looks at it, and how it's really important for us without us actually realizing it. I mean, it's a topic that often gets caught in taboos, really, but we never have a serious and a sincere conversation about it.
So sex is, in Ayurveda, sex is a stairway to self. It is a spiritual act which leads to spiritual transformation if it is practiced in the correct way. So they say that you should practice sex within the framework of dharma. And if you are doing that with the right partner, with whom you are also emotionally, spiritually and mentally connected, then in Ayurveda they say that the man and the woman experience, during Maithuna, experience a satisfaction that is similar to the union of Shiva and Shakti. We believe that Shiva and Shakti is the ultimate power. So the pleasure of sexual union is similar to what Shiva and Shakti experienced when they became one. That is how important sex is. Now it's interesting because Abraham Maslow, who in psychology is considered to be one of the top psychologists, said in his hierarchy of needs that at the bottom of the hierarchy are food, shelter, sleep and sex. And then you go up to safety and security, love and belonging, and in the end, self-actualization. So he said, you cannot bypass any of these and go to the top. So basically, you cannot bypass sex and become self-actualized later on in your life. It will not happen. The only way out is through. Suppression is not a good thing. A lot of the problems that are there in society, in the world, and at the macro level and at the micro level, within families, within individuals, has to do with sexual deprivation, sleep deprivation, and incorrect eating habits.
We were chatting about the Swamiji in the US, who you said that it flows from brahmacharya, from the power that it gives the human body. So do you want to elaborate on that example?
Yeah, so brahmacharya is a part of Ayurveda, but again I'll say one thing, that none of us in this hall can practice it on our own, because practicing brahmacharya means that you have to have a very sattvic diet for starters. Your thoughts have to be sattvic. Here we are, having tea, coffee, and fast foods, and there is no way that you can eat all this kind of stuff and then practice brahmacharya. But coming to this Swamiji and what he did, so when he passed away, his body did not decay or smell for many, many days. And, it became very big news in the United States because they could not understand why. And the top scientists were called to figure out what was going on. Actually, what had happened was that Swamiji had practiced brahmacharya in the true sense of the word. So the semen was then utilized to cleanse every part of his body. So you see, no semen was wasted. He never let his semen out. So that semen, then his kundalini was awake, all the chakras were permanently open, and it fixed every aspect of his the repair of his body happened at the cellular level by the semen that had not been wasted, and that is the reason why there was no smell, there was no decay of the body many days after he died. But that kind of brahmacharya, practice of that kind of brahmacharya can only be done under expert supervision. A person cannot do it by themselves. Like, you cannot be having coffee, for instance, and then say, okay, I'm going to practice brahmacharya. It's not going to happen.
And I observed that you've drawn the distinction between repression and celibacy. So
Yeah.
the two have to be really distinct, because
Yeah, of course.
just holding it in is not the whole point
No,
of
no,
it.
no. So you cannot be, celibate just by yourself. You cannot decide to become celibate. It will lead to many complications in your life that you will not be able to understand, but it will happen. No, so that's not how it's done. People who are practicing celibacy or brahmacharya do it under expert supervision.
That's I think a very important point. Vikram, you've spoken about so many things, so many practices. In the book, you have elaborate sections on things to do, what to eat in the morning, how often to eat, and when to sleep, and so on. But I was thinking, we're leading such busy, hectic lives, and sometimes that's really not in our control. And I'm sure you, uh, coming from where you are also really busy. So how have you incorporated the Ayurvedic way of life in your personal life? Like, I understand you are into fitness, at least that's what your interviews suggest. So tell us a little bit about how you've changed your life, perhaps through the writing of this book, or even before, since you come from that family.
So Ayurveda is a very important part of my life. Herbs like ashwagandha, I have every day. When it's in season, I have gooseberry juice every day. My son has a little bit of it every day. I eat seasonally, and so in Ayurveda there is dincharya and ritucharya. I follow these, and I've explained all of that in the book. I follow those principles very seriously. And trust me when I tell you that my only vice is that I also wake up in the morning dreaming of my coffee. But
I knew
it
it.
there is, in the last 5 years, I have not faltered on this one, My mornings always start with my ash god juice, an apple, and matcha green tea, and things like that, and followed by breakfast and all of that. So as far as possible, I follow it. When I'm traveling, I'd like to carry my own food. I don't like to eat the food that's being served in the airlines. And my food is prepared keeping my dosha and a lot of the Ayurvedic principles in mind. I follow dincharya, ritucharya. I follow the circadian rhythm as much as I can, which is why I don't go out so much now. For me, it's a constant thing. It's a constant thing. My mother, who's an expert at Ayurveda, she and I have extensive discussions on Ayurveda, and then she will tell me something, and I will incorporate that in my life.
Is there one thing that you think we can all easily adapt? I mean, of course, you've mentioned through the conversation digestive fires, but is there one thing that we must all follow without
What I would
fail?
say is that read the book. This is the book, Ayurveda Advantage. Read the book and see what bits you, because every chapter is very small. No chapter is more than 8, 9 pages long. So whether I'm talking about meditation, or I'm talking about food, sleep, or sex, or I'm talking about Agni, or whatever I'm talking about, it's explained in a few pages only. See what comes easier to you. Start with that, baby steps, and then one by one start implementing more and more steps in your life, and before you know it, it will become a part of your life.
So it is really possible to incorporate Ayurvedic systems of
Yeah, of course.
lifestyles despite our hectic schedules.
And I want to say another thing, because a lot of people are into fitness and bodybuilding. It's interesting because Ayurveda always said that Ashwagandha, Ashwa means horse, you know, so you see, the thing with Ashwagandha is that Ayurveda always said that it is the best thing in muscle recovery. So after you've done a strenuous workout or a run, it's lovely, it's very good to have Ashwagandha, because it really, really nourishes you from inside, and it provides energy and healing at the cellular level. Last year, when I was in LA, I noticed that at a lot of places where they were serving protein shakes, they were adding ashwagandha to the protein shake, and they said that it helps with muscle recovery and muscle. So this was and muscle maintenance, and I was very, very amazed, because Ayurveda has said that hundreds of years ago. So most of the things that Ayurveda has said is, it's very nice for me. I feel very happy that the world is adopting and adapting to those principles. Whether they call it bulletproof coffee or whatever they call it, but these are all Ayurvedic concepts, most of them.
Absolutely, absolutely. I have dozens of things to still ask Vikram, but I'd like to open it up to the audience since this is a subject that's so
And
that's so
sorry, one
important.
more thing I want to say, that if you look at this is, because it goes across religions and across cultures, you go and see the biblical diet. Most of it is Ayurvedic stuff. Most of those fruits are things that Ayurveda suggests, and for certain, like for instance, apple, is something that Ayurveda has always said is one of the most important fruits to eat. An apple a day keeps the doctor away came much later. Ayurveda said it much before that. So whether it's the biblical diet, or you see, the Sufis singing and dancing when food is being cooked, these are all actually Ayurvedic concepts.
Correct. Questions from the audience?
Yes, go on.
I just had one question. So in Ayurveda, we really talk about that the food should be so light that it should digest as soon as possible. I mean, and now we are talking about a lot of millets, and it's being, and the more I read about millets, and I think millets are a little heavy to digest. It takes much longer for the digestion process as against something like wheat. I know wheat. So what's your take on these new things that are coming up?
No, so you see, whether it's millets or it's pulses, they are in in India. How are they eaten? They are eaten along with veggies. They are not eaten by themselves. So when you look at it holistically, when you eat all of this together, then the roughage in the vegetables help with the digestion process. So just millets by themselves are not never eaten in India.
No, I mean, given a choice, wheat against a millet, which one would be more
So
easily
you see now
digestible?
what's happened is that the wheat, a lot of it is hybrid, right? It's all genetically modified. So you have to be very careful with that. Khapli atta is better than having the regular atta any day.
Yeah. So kapli, because it's still not, it's still not hybrid, right?
Glycemic index
Yeah.
also, I
But
So you see, Ayurveda as a science came about when all of this genetic modification was not there. That's when this science came about. So now with so much genetic modifications, so many insecticides, pesticides and fertilizers being used, you have to try and be as organic as possible.
yeah. And one more thing on this turmeric milk. What's the Ayurveda concept on
Turmeric.
Regular use of turmeric.
Yeah, so turmeric is one of the top spices in Ayurveda, and I've written about that in my book as well. Because curcumin, which is the active ingredient in turmeric, it's anti-carcinogenic, it's anti-inflammatory, it is one of the best things. And if you see, turmeric is used in our foods almost every day. So for us, it's a normal way of life. Yeah, so it's one of the top spices, one of the top spices in Ayurveda is turmeric.
Thanks. Thank you so much.
So completely organic is no. So yeah, you're right. You're right. So completely organic is obviously not possible because the soil has to be organic for a certain number of years, which is but as organic as possible, as clean as possible is what you have to focus on. You will have to procure it from sources that are certified organic. No, you cannot know. How will you know? Yeah, you have to check the labels. You have to check the labels, and if it's certified organic, you have to understand that it's not 100% organic, but it is as organic as it can be. So it's better than something which is not certified organic. So unfortunately, the government of India has that issue, but it's still better to go for something which is certified than something which is not, because it's still cleaner. So, uh, true.
Just you're just talking about the coffee, and very interesting. Just you advocated coffee like anything. Without coffee, your morning is not. So just a little bit confused. Once you advocated coffee is very good. Another one just you say just add the cardamom, add the cinnamon and all. So according to you as a doctor and just you a writer on the Ayurveda, how do you just prefer coffee is good or coffee is bad?
No, 1 or 2 cups of coffee is not bad at all. It's very
Okay.
good. There's nothing. Coffee, in the Middle East earlier was called the food of the kings.
Okay.
It's a natural aphrodisiac as well. It helps with concentration. It helps with. Coffee is not a bad thing at all. It's just that you can't have it. You have to know when to have it and how to have it.
Okay. Thank
Sir,
you. Thank you.
Sir, is after food it's advised to take rest or you can walk after food?
So after lunch, you should take rest, and I've written about that in the book. A power nap after lunch is anti-aging. After dinner, and you know why? That has to do with again the circadian rhythm, because in the afternoon the sun is at its peak. So when the sun is at its peak, your digestive fire is functioning very very well. So if you take a nap, it will digest the food faster and it's anti-aging. After dinner, you have to take a walk. Why is that? Because the sun has gone down, so you have to make that extra effort to digest your food before you go to sleep.
आपने बोला कि an apple a day keeps doctors away, लेकिन I take my take is that apple is not everywhere. So and you also told that food होना चाहिए ऋतु के अनुसार, मतलब जैसा तो एप्पल तो हर जगह मिलता नहीं है, तो नेचर तो उस तरह से बनाया होगा कि जैसे कोई बिहार में है तो वहाँ तो एप्पल मिलेगा नहीं, तो नेचर का तो उस तरह से होगा कि जो जहाँ मिलता है वही चीज़ उसके लिए होना चाहिए. अब एप्पल कश्मीर से मिलेगा तो ऐसा तो नेचर नहीं क्यों होगा कि बिहार का आदमी एप्पल खाया जाएगा.
नहीं तो
मतलब
वो सीजन का बात है.
रीजनेबल नहीं लगता है, मतलब
नहीं तो
जैसे अभी कोई एक आता है ऑस्ट्रेलिया से क्या जो लोग खाते रहते हैं.
नहीं तो आपके एरिया में जो मिल रहा है वो तो आप सीजनल खाइए. But when apple is in season, I'm talking about the nutritional value of apple, which is very, very, very high. In Ayurveda, they say that the nutrition apple is one of the most important fruits to eat. So if it is available to you, and now it's available and it's in season, then you should eat. Of course, it will help you. Why will it not help you? But of course, where you are staying, जो आपका local मिल रहा है आपको, जो season में है, so that's part of Ritucharya in Ayurveda. That will benefit you the most.
But Vikram, availability has now become such a diffuse thing. I mean, you get everything now in
Everywhere.
every season, so it's a little bit hard.
Yeah, I just had a doubt.
May I?
Yeah, yeah.
I have a question where I would rather ask you to give me one word, the nichod जिसको हम बोलते हैं, of all these questions that were just asked. I'll help you there. The one word which I have observed is confusion. And the food factor has become a big confusion for everyone, especially when you talk of every second food being healthy. What is that called? Makhana?
मखाना
मखाना का हमें
Fox
याद है
nuts.
जब हम छोटे थे तो हम लोग वो लोरी में या कुछ फेंकते थे उसको. Something like that, you know. And then now you see the branded ones with chocolate flavor and orange flavor, and suddenly it becomes the healthiest food available. So talking about organic, talking about millets, and especially with our advanced age, which I have noticed and has been speaking to quite a number of people, that at this age we become more confused and are more concerned about the health, and we want to eat everything. The villain over here is the branding, which is happening all full scale. So जब हम पूछने जाते हैं उनसे define me the word healthy, actually there is no answer for them to give me that word
So
healthy.
let me at least try to simplify this for you
Yeah.
as much as I can. We'll talk about makhana first. You know, fox nuts. They by themselves are actually very healthy. The good thing about science today is that it tells you the exact nutritional value of anything. So you have to see the pluses and minuses of everything. So makhana by itself is very healthy. But now makhana is available, chocolate coated makhana. That's not healthy because that's full of sugar. Then also some of the makhana that's available in the market will have amchur in it, which is one of the worst things that a man can eat. It will have all kinds of things which are not required. It will have flavor enhancers in it. So the intelligent thing would be to pick up makhana and roast it at home and make it at home the way you want to. Now, you see, it is as confusing or not as you want it to be also at some level. If you just simplify it and stick with the basics, it's not that confusing. The good thing is that now we know the nutritional value of everything. We know what a nutritionally dense food looks like and what is not. You get it? So we and to fall for excess, this really fancy branding is something which I am completely against. It's completely against. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. No, and one very good, you gave the best example. Like fox nuts are healthy, but now you go and say, oh, I'm going to eat fox nuts, but chocolate coated fox nuts. Obviously, it's not healthy. You know, and yeah.
Confusing and causing all the
Yeah, I
type
had a
of
question.
nonsense. to the people.
Sorry, I'll just answer his question first, sir.
My question was, is there a quantifiable ratio for specific dosh which are there? For example, a person is categorized into a specific dosh according to Ayurveda. So, is there a quantifiable ratio for the amount of work he has to do, like in a day?
So,
about 8
Vata,
hours?
Pitta, and Kapha are the three doshas, right?
Yeah.
What are they? They are the forces of nature that are present inside you in the form of air, water, space, ether, fire, and earth, right? These are the 5 elements which are essential to life. Without this, there is no life. They exist within all of us as the 3 doshas, right? Each dosha constituting of 2 of these. Now, if you read this book, it will try and simplify it for you, as it has simplified it for you to the extent that you will be able to identify your dosha. And it also tells you what is good and what is not good for your dosha, right? But at the end of the day, if you want to follow a diet that is specific to your dosha and you want a lifestyle to suit your dosha, you have to go to an expert. You cannot decide yourself.
but like for a general purpose.
Self-diagnosis is not advised, and I've written that over and over in this book.
Like my question was for a general purpose, not specific. Like once a person is categorized into what pit of cough basically. So like for example, I was in cough category
Yeah,
because
you are
I am
kapha category.
little
Yeah,
bit
yeah, yeah.
overweight, right? So for a general purpose, what is the like recommended generalized food ratio or something like that which is there?
No, so I've written that in the book.
Okay.
You'll be able to get it because, and also you must remember that between the three doshas, there are usually two that are more active and one is a little passive. You know, but again, these are subtle energies and forces, so they will keep changing. But that simplification is there in the book. You'll find that answer.
Okay. So there is a generalized quantifiable way.
Yes.
Of food.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can we have one last question now?
सर जैसे कि सभी मायने चाहती है कि हमारा बच्चा हेल्दी रहे, तो जैसे दूध में हम लोग हॉर्लिक्स है, बॉर्नवीटा वगैरह ये सब देते हैं, लेकिन जैसे कि सुनते आ रहे हैं कि
I have to say, आप ये सब मत दो.
हाँ, तो सर मैं ये पूछना चाह रही हूँ कि दूध प्लेन दूध देना हेल्दी
नहीं,
रहता
पर
है
अगेन
या?
आप एक बात समझो that दूध, what milk are we talking about? अगर उस गाय को यूरिया मिल रहा है खाने को, उस गाय को इंजेक्शन लगा, ऑक्सीटोसिन का इंजेक्शन मिल रहा है for the milk to come out, all those hormones are going in your child. Today, the safest milk to have is A2 milk, जो कि गीर गाय का होता है, and there are certain farms that claim to be again as organic as possible. Agar you do not have those certifications, if it's not there, milk is, dairy and poultry are the most dangerous today, most dangerous.
हम लोग तो वही पैकेट वाला दूध
नहीं, तो वो नॉर्मल पैकेट वाला दूध तो इज नॉट, बिकॉज आप एक बात समझो, जस्ट अंडरस्टैंड द हाउ इट्स मेड. वो जो गाय है, ठीक है ना, वो तभी दूध देगी जब उसका बच्चा हो रहा है, बट ग्वाले को तो he wants milk throughout the year because that's his earning, that's his bread and butter. So there's an oxytocin injection that's put in the cow, and when that injection is put, that hormone is injected in the cow, more milk comes out. So that particular hormone is present in the milk that your child is drinking. Similarly, what is the cow being fed? There's a lot of urea in the diet of the cow. So now what you need to do, if your child is very fond of milk and you want to give him a lot of milk, is A2 गिर cow. A2 is the original Indian cow, जिसको कि हम लोग हिंदुइज्म में भी जो भगवानों के साथ रहती थी, तो जिसके ऊपर hump होता है, it's usually orange in color. That is the गिर cow. Its milk is the purest, but that which is again they will say it's organic, as organic as वो, that is the safest milk to give to your child.
फिर भी सर अगर जैसे गिर गाय का भी मिले जो आप ऑर्गेनिक बता रहे हैं, उसमें भी हम लोग प्लेन सही रहता है या फिर जो ये पाउडर कुछ मेडिकल पाउडर वगैरह होते हैं वो सही रहता है?
नहीं, आप मेडिकल पाउडर की कॉम्पोजिशन देखो ना, आप चाहे वो बॉर्नवीटा है, चाहे वो हॉर्लिक्स है, कुछ भी है, पिक अप द बॉटल and you see the contents, okay? You see what all is in there. You find a lot of sugar. Now, sugar in a child brain leads to attention deficit disorder. Sugar in an adult's brain leads to Alzheimer's, brain fog, and issues like that. So you have to, the way your child should get sugar is actually through fruit and through natural sources. And be very careful about this because हम लोगों ने तो British school में, where my son studies, we have gotten a lot of things banned over there. Now birthdays पे no cakes are allowed to be brought because उस केक में कितना शुगर है, कितना उसमें कितनी सारी चीज़ें वो हैं जो कि सिंथेटिक है. It's not funny. Like I like to eat cake, तो हम लोग का घर पे डार्क चॉकलेट बनता है विद जैगरी, गुड़ जो होता है, गुड़ का बनता है. तो आपको इसमें पूरा ध्यान देना पड़ेगा अपने बेटे के ऊपर if you want him to really blossom into a very intelligent and a healthy child.
सर वन मोर क्वेश्चन, एक मैंने सुना है मल्टीग्रेन हम लोगों को आटा खाना चाहिए और कहीं मैंने देखा कि एक टाइम में एक ही जो नाज होता है वो, तो आप दोनों में सही बताइए क्या है?
No, so multigrain everybody can't digest, and the older you are, the less you are able to digest multigrain flour. So like I eat multigrain atta, it suits me very well. My mother doesn't eat it. She cannot, she gets very gassy. So multigrain is okay if you can digest it and if you are younger, but as you get on in age, no. But you know, this thing about children, and I'm going to write a book about that sometime, you have to be very careful of what he is eating. You know, the fries, जो हम देते हैं French, इसको हम French fries बोलते हैं इंडिया में, those fries are one of the most dangerous things to give to your child, because that oil is highly oxidized. So you know, like we say कि, oh, today there's a treat, let's go out and eat a burger. That's not the way to do it. If it's a treat, let's make something healthy at home. So the child also understands what it is, you know, and that, like for instance, dark chocolate is very good for you, but not the regular milk chocolate. तो अब मेरा बेटा जो 4 साल का है, वो समझता है डार्क चॉकलेट विच हैज़ गॉट 85% cacao और एक मिल्क चॉकलेट के बीच में डिफरेंस. And what I tell him is that, do I eat that? Do you see me eating it? Do you see Ma? He calls my mother Ma. I said, do you see Ma eating it? No. So then why do you want to eat it? It's not good for you. It's junk. You have to explain to your child what junk food is and why he has to avoid it. You have to tutor your child, you know, in that. So there's somebody there. I think we'll answer her question.
Just one last question, because we are late now actually.
I just want to ask, how is the Ayurveda better or maybe different from the YUSH, the Yoga, Unani, Siddh, and the homeopathy?
So this is a very long answer. I've explained that in the book. But as far as yoga is concerned, it's very much a part of Ayurveda.
Okay.
Yeah, and the rest of the answers are there in the book. When you, so just get it. You know, it's very easy to understand. No chapter is more than 7-8 pages. So whether I'm talking about food, sleep, and sex, which are the 3 pillars of Ayurveda, or whether it's the Agni, the digestive fire, or it's the comparison between Ayurveda and other systems of medicine, it's all there in this.
Okay. Thank you so much.
So to all your answers, Vikram will be there at the backstage to sign the books. So if you know more about Ayurveda, please pick up the book and get all your answers. Because one session is not enough for Ayurveda, for sure. Yeah. And
please remember what I said about coffee, guys. It's the most relevant to most people sitting here.
Yeah, because I picked up so many nuggets from your session, which I think we all are doing so much wrong, you know, in our daily lives. And one thing, जहाँ चाहा वहाँ रहा. अगर विक्रम ने इतना कुछ बताया है, if you want to be healthier, then you know, listen to him and follow. Otherwise, there is no, I mean, आपकी life, आप देखो. And with that, and Vikram, one more thing from you, because Ayurveda companies ka promotion, I think we really need to have a lot of promotion. Because right now, the kind of junk we are having or our children are having, so I think promotion, you guys should really come up with something good so that we can learn about, because there are so many things which are not aware, you know, the ashwagandha, the Ayurveda churna, we should have daily or we should not have daily. So there's, right? Yeah. So the lack of awareness. So guys, with that, today is Vikram's birthday. So can we please sing a birthday song for him?
But no cake. No cake.
No cake will be later, yeah. So okay, with me, yeah. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Vikram. Happy birthday to you. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for this wonderful session. Yeah, hi Namita, thank you. Yeah, now yes, yeah. Vikram is at the backstage to sign the books. Whosoever wants the book, please follow him there. Yeah.